And so it has begun. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. Raven flock, it has begun. We've been talking about this offseason and Lamar Jackson and what moves the Ravens are going to make. And we're still waiting for that, obviously, as free agency approaches. We've seen a lot of things that have happened. But one discussion we've definitely talked about briefly has been Lamar Jackson's extension. We heard earlier on in this offseason that the Ravens were planning to talk with Lamar Jackson about extending him, and we started talking about what he may be willing to take and what type of deal they're going to work out. But back then, it was more of they're planning to, at least this offseason. So we were waiting for this, but now it seems like they have officially started discussing extension talks with Lamar Jackson. So, time has come. I'm going to be honest, I don't know how this is going to go down. Because, the team don't really have a lot of money right now. I don't have a lot of cap space. And I'm trying to work this situation out in terms of how much he'd be willing to take and what the numbers are. Hopefully they can come to an agreement, but the extension is definitely going to be tough, especially because there are a lot of guys you want to sign and a lot of people you want to keep. And if you pay Lamar a lot of money, you're not going to get the opportunity to do that. But at the same time, the man has done enough, more than enough, to actually earn the money he's looking for. If we're going to be honest, he probably, just based on what he's done and produced, he should be making the same amount Deshaun Watson's making. Some people may argue a little bit more, but he should be at least making the same amount Deshaun Watson's making when he got his deal. Because again, Lamar Jackson, in the 3 seasons he's been with us, he took this team to the playoffs all 3 years. He's won league MVP. He's been a Pro Bowler. He's been first team All-Pro. And obviously coming off this season, took him to the playoffs again, and we won a playoff game, got to the divisional round. So, you've seen Lamar. He's also led the league in touchdown passes and all this other stuff. We know the man's personal accomplishments. So, we've seen how much Lamar Jackson has done and how much he has just brought to the table. So, now, when it's time to pay him his money, you have to be able to pay him what he's worth. And it's just, that's going to be difficult. I talked about this yesterday about how we're getting ready to enter free agency. And because we've got so many guys on free agency and we don't really have a lot of cap space, bringing back a bunch of guys is going to be difficult. We could very well lose Ngakoue and Judon, and we could very well lose Gus Edwards. And one of the points I brought up was that, Lamar Jackson's contract extension is still there. We don't exactly know how that situation is going to go down, and it seems it's begun. So we don't know much about it yet. They're negotiating it, but we'll just see what they're able to come up with. This is definitely going to be a tough offseason for the Ravens. They just don't have the cap space to really improve this team in terms of free agency, and they're going to lose out on some players. The one that's going to hurt me the most is Gus Edwards. If we lose out on Gus Edwards, it's going to hurt because you have this beautiful duo of J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. You would want to bring that back to just solidify that run game. No question. But Gus Edwards is too good to be getting the money he's getting right now. Somebody's going to throw this man a bag, and we cannot afford to pay this man that type of salary. He deserves a lot more money, but the Ravens just don't have that money right now. Then you also look at Ngakoue, and he's going to want a bag too, and we just don't have the money to pay him. It's like, maybe the Ravens can work out a deal with that, but I don't know. So you have this situation. You have Matthew Judon's situation about what they may want to do with him. Do they want to pay him? What are they going to do with that? And now, on top of that, you've got Lamar Jackson's extension. And now they're trying to work out this deal right now. So it's like so many things are happening for the Ravens. You just don't know which direction this situation is going to go. But, yeah, it's definitely going to be tough. Now, I'm wondering what Lamar is going to actually ask of the franchise. Because, again, you look at his resume, you look at what he's accomplished. He's done everything. As a quarterback for this team, he's done everything except win a Super Bowl. That's tough, He goes out, wins the league MVP. He's the first quarterback we've had in franchise history win an MVP. So he goes and does that. All 3 years, he takes your team to the playoffs. He ends up winning a playoff game. He leads the league in touchdowns in 1 year. He's been one of the most consistent quarterbacks in the league. One of the best in the league. This previous season, it was a down year for Lamar Jackson, and people say that, but it was a down year, but he only had like 10 less touchdowns. 10 less total touchdowns. And it really was the passing touchdowns because in his MVP season, he had 7 rushing touchdowns, and last year he had 7 rushing touchdowns. So he only threw for 10 less touchdowns this season compared to his MVP season. So, yeah, that is a down year, but not by that much considering the fact he had an historic season. You expect that drop-off. It happened with Mahomes. 1 year he's throwing 50 touchdowns. Then it gets to 2019, he throws 26. It's just how it works. So there was definitely a drop-off. But despite that, despite everything the team went through last year, despite all the injuries, despite the troubles, the offensive line just being inconsistent and bad, not having a snapper even be able to properly snap a football, and just everything Lamar's had to work with on this offense, despite all of that, he helped carry this team to the playoffs. The man is getting this team to the playoffs and having success with one of the cheapest offenses in the league. You got to pay that man his money. But at the same time, if you pay him so much, you're not going to have money to help improve this team. So now, what are the Ravens going to do? And I know a lot of people are going to be looking at Lamar like, maybe Lamar wants to take that cut or just a smaller amount for that extension to help the team out. And yeah, me as a fan, I would love for him to do that. I would definitely love for him to do that. I wish he would do that. I spoke of this last year. When I saw Watson getting his deal, I'm like, oh my God, I hope Lamar ends up not getting this type of money because we just can't afford to do that. If we were to give him that money, we would not be able to bring anybody back. But at the same time, as much as I wish for that to happen, Lamar has done more than enough to earn the type of money he may be willing to ask. Hopefully he's not asking for like $45 million. Oh my God, $45 million a year. We can't. Whew. Even the deal that Deshaun Watson has, I don't even know if this team can afford it right now. So I don't know what's going to go on with these extension talks. We'll definitely be discussing it as we hear more and more about what's going on between the organization and Lamar Jackson regarding the situation. But I just don't know, man. I just don't know. Because we just don't have the money, man. We don't have the money. This is a crucial offseason. A lot of crucial players are free agents, and it's just like you could potentially lose all of that. We've already lost like a lot of coaches. Let's not lose a lot of the good players we want to keep, okay? You don't want to completely lose your pass rush in an offseason, but you may end up losing both. You don't want to lose a crucial piece of the offense, especially with your running game, but you may lose that. So it's such a tough situation for the Ravens, but at the same time, he deserves his money. He deserves his money. And I can't sit there and say, Lamar, you don't deserve your money. Take a pay cut for the franchise. It's up to him, We'll see what kind of decision they come up with. But at the same time, I can't sit here and be like, yeah, Lamar Jackson, you should just do this team a favor and just accept the pay cut. I'm not going to tell athletes to just accept a pay cut from a franchise. Nah. You did what you needed to do to earn this money. Now you deserve to be paid. Of course, me as a Ravens fan, knowing we just don't have that type of money, I would love for him to take a pay cut. But at the same time, the man he deserves his money. He went out there and produced and was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He deserves his money. If Watson's going to get that deal, Lamar should get that deal similar to that too. So it's going to be tough. I haven't heard much about this specific topic. I haven't heard anything come out of it. I think it's possible that there could be some disagreements about the amount. Maybe Lamar's having one specific amount he would want per year, and the Ravens are thinking of a different number, and there could be disputes from that. But I'm not about to make those assumptions because I do not have that information. All I know right now is they're working on it. We're going through the talks, and hopefully they can come to some sort of compromise, some sort of conclusion, something that both gets Lamar the money he deserves or the money he feels like he's okay with, and it helps the franchise out, especially this offseason. So we'll just see what happens with this situation. It's the time. We basically knew this was going to happen. From the moment we entered the offseason, they talked about extending Lamar Jackson. So we were prepared for this moment. None of us are surprised to see them having these extension talks. We are ready for this. Question is, what will Lamar's extension contract do to the team's salary cap? And how much of an impact will it have towards us keeping the talent we have on the team and trying to be able to bring in some talent from free agency? We will find out. But other than that, we'll just have to wait and see. There's not much to talk about this. Anyway, that is all I got. We'll see how this story develops. We'll see how this situation develops. And we'll see if the Ravens and Lamar Jackson can come to a compromise. With that being said, that is all I got. And I'm out of here, man. Peace.